A lot of interesting scenarios we want to bring up. There he is. If you're watching the live stream, at Jeff Kerr, CBS. Draft tomorrow night. All right, I'm ready to get right into this, man, because I got a lot of questions. And starting with this. If a quarterback is on the board at number 12, would Howie Roseman take him?
If he's on the board at 12, it all depends who's on the board. If it's Justin Fields, yeah, you take him. I love Jalen Hurts, but you take Justin Fields, plain and simple. That's the guy. Anybody else? No. Justin Fields, yes.
So if Justin Fields is there at 12, Roseman takes him?
I would say yes. I don't think you can pass him up.
Does he
franchise quarterback?
Okay, wow. If he's on the board at 12 and they take him, does he start over Hurts this year?
I think they might have to look at certain situations where you might have to trade Jalen Hurts. I think they'll compete for the job, but Justin Fields is the guy. I think he can start week one. I really believe that. I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft. And, some of my quarterback takes are very good and some are very bad, but I'm pretty positive about this one.
Fields is so interesting. I mean, he had bad games against bad teams. He had good games against good teams. I mean, not a lot of tape on him. I mean, a lot of these guys, they only play 2 seasons now, and then they're gone. So he's interesting to me. All right, Devonta Smith told you about playing with Jalen Hurts. What did he say?
Well, this is pretty much the gist of it. He's a competitor. He's a warrior. He'll go to battle for you. He's a winner. That's pretty much what he said, and he'd love to be reunited with him again. I don't know if they've actually talked about. I'm sure they have. I mean, those two played together for 2 years. I think he told Ed Kratz and John McMullen, not Devonta Smith. I think maybe Jalen Hurts. I'm trying to remember which one said what. It might have been about a month or two ago that they said they haven't spoke, but I didn't get to ask him that. But at the same time, I think he's really looking forward to playing for the Eagles and playing with Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is that main reason why. So they already have the chemistry. He's good to go. Like, he's already pumped up about playing for the Eagles and this fan base. Maybe he knows something we don't.
Yeah, so, did he give any indication as to he felt that there was a strong possibility?
The hard part when you're doing an audio call is you don't get to see the facial reaction, which I was kind of hoping to get. But, he didn't really hesitate on it either. I think he was like, all right, yeah, the Eagles, let's do this thing. And, Jalen Hurts, he started talking about Jalen Hurts. And then he was going on about, everything else in mind here. Oh, sorry, Mike, I'm losing the camera. All right, yeah. So, he's going off of, about Jalen Hurts and, pretty much playing for Nick Sirianni in the system. I didn't get to ask him too much about Sirianni because we were talking mostly about Alabama football players and his size and stuff, and he brushed that off really quick. He said, man, to me, that's old news, and to all these teams, that's old news. They know what I can do. They know my credentials. They know I'm a baller, and look, The guy's got a lot of swagger to him. It's kind of like the Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts. It must be in the blood of Alabama.
Well, based on what Sirianni and how he described an ex-receiver a couple of weeks ago, he said they come in all shapes and sizes. T.Y. Hilton, Dwayne Bowe, Keenan Allen. Does Devonta Smith fit the X mold that the Eagles need?
I don't think he fits the prototypical X, but as the Eagles have said, they come in all shapes and sizes, and you can play an X and a Z now, and you can move an X all over the place. And I think that's what Nick Sirianni is excited about, the opportunity to coach a guy like that. Devonta Smith is a Swiss Army knife. He's a big play receiver. He can catch short passes. He pretty much is, the do-it-all-for-you dolly. He can do anything you ask him to out of the wide receiver position, and I think that's what the Eagles want. And I honestly, Mike, the Eagles need a number one wide receiver in the worst way. I think this is a guy that could truly be that for them, and they could spread the ball around. He'll make Jalen Hurts' life easier because they have that connection. Again, Jalen Hurts made Devonta Smith really early in his career because they were both Devonta Smith was a true freshman and had a big college football playoff with Jalen Hurts, and that's when he first kind of got on the map because Alabama was pretty low to the wide receiver then, but then you first start hearing of Devonta Smith, and then the next year it was Jalen Waddle, and then Tua got a hold of him. And look, it just seems like no matter who Devonta Smith plays with, the quarterback is good. But I was pretty encouraged when he said all that about Jalen Hurts. That it just has that feeling like, hey, look, these two went to war together before. Why not do it again?
What about this scenario? Some reports today the Dolphins would take Waddle over Chase. Is that a BS meter? Where's your BS meter on that?
Man, I'm here Penei Sewell. So, yeah, I'm going to call BS on that. You know, I think the Dolphins really don't want to give anything away of what they're trying to do at this point. You know, my logic is they are going to take Jamar Chase. But look, Penei Sewell, now that they traded Eric Flowers and they're going to move Robert Hunt in the guard now because that's his natural position. Penei Sewell could play right tackle for them automatically. And I think they're banking on the Cincinnati Bengals probably taking Jamar Chase because they don't want to protect their quarterback. So, okay, so they take Penei Sewell. That's fine. The Bengals take Jamar Chase. That's fine. So the Dolphins take Penei Sewell. And if Cincinnati takes Penei Sewell, then the Dolphins take Jamar Chase or wherever they want. But I have a feeling Penei Sewell is really the guy they want.
But, okay, so if the Dolphins passed on Chase and took Waddle and Chase is now at 7, does Howie Roseman make that call?
I think you make a trade up no matter what. I think you try to trade up with the Detroit Lions, but here's the thing. If the Detroit Lions want Jamar Chase, I think they're going to get Jamar Chase.
They already had Jamar Chase once in their career. They screwed that up with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, they did, and you know they could get another one. And unfortunately, it'll be with a much worse quarterback. But yeah, I think Detroit though is looking to trade down. Don't get me wrong. I think Jamar Chase is very intriguing for them, but I do think they're looking to trade down, stockpile more picks. They're like the Eagles. They got a lot of rebuilding to do, but I think the Eagles are really, really want to get back into the top 10. And if they're able to do that and still keep that first-round pick for next year, which they should be able to do with ease, kudos to Howie Roseman. And personally, I think if they go into the top 10, it's either for one of those cornerbacks, Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase. If Jamar Chase is there.
Jeff, if they get back into the top 10 and obviously they're not going to give up a first-round pick to move back up. I mean, they traded back to get the first-round pick. They're not going to retrade that pick to go back to that spot. So if they get up there, what are they giving up? What is the threshold of what they would have to give up to get to, 7?
This is where the Carson Wentz trade comes in handy. You have 2 third-round picks. You give up one of them. Maybe you give up.
That's enough, though. You can get from 12 to 7 by just giving up one of those 2 third-rounders.
Well, that would be the main angle in the deal. I'm sure you would have to give away, probably a 5th or a 6th or 7th in there. Look, the Eagles have so many picks at the back end of the round; they're not going to use all 11 of them anyway. Maybe you give up like a future 4th or a future 5th to keep the team happy because next year's draft is a lot deeper than this one. But yeah, I mean, pretty much the kicker in it is the 3rd-round pick.
All right, I like that because I'd be on board with that. If I give up a 3rd and, say, a 5th in this year or next year to move up to get 7 and get a guy that I really, really like, Chase, Pitts, I don't know. I'd be interested to see if they pulled the trigger and went up and get Patrick Surtain if they just like Horn better. I mean, that is another big storyline tomorrow night for me. A text message came in from a listener I thought was interesting. It said the Eagles did not draft Hurts to be their starting quarterback, so don't be surprised when they take one. Why did they, in your opinion, draft Hurts?
In my opinion, I honestly think because I was one of the most upset people when Carson Wentz got hurt in that NFC wildcard playoff game when Jadeveon Clowney hit him. And it was because Josh McCown was terrible. He was absolutely horrible. And the Eagles went into the last couple years. We had Nick Foles. Carson Wentz gets hurt. We have a backup quarterback and go and win playoff games. He won 4 of them for you. Josh McCown couldn't even get the ball in the end zone. He couldn't do anything. That Eagles offense wasn't good in 2019, but they were terrible without Carson Wentz. And Josh McCown just, look, they didn't even have a chance, and they were down 8 points. They were down 17-9. They just couldn't get anything going. I truly believe if Carson Wentz was the quarterback that entire game, the Eagles win that playoff game. And this is why I got upset with Carson Wentz to begin with, because he had that mindset like, oh, this guy's coming in here and taking my job. No, Carson. No, you got to take this mindset of, man, if I could have won that game if I was healthy because I was that good.
Yeah.
And
hey, look, we already won a Super Bowl because you got hurt because we had a capable backup. So I get that. And that's what I said. I don't have a problem with them. They value the backup quarterback position, so they took a guy. I had no problem with them taking Hurts.
They won a Super Bowl doing it that way.
Right. So I had no problem with them taking Hurts last year. And keep in mind, Jeff, last year when the Eagles, the over-under for win was 10, people thought that this was a possible Super Bowl team. So backup quarterback was important.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Look, I don't know how bad they would have been last year if Jalen Hurts wasn't on this roster. Jalen Hurts won him a football game. He probably should have won him 2, maybe even 3 if the Eagles defense would have held up. They didn't have Michael Jacquet back there, right?
Yeah.
Playing secondary against CeeDee Lamb. But, all kidding aside, I mean, Jalen Hurts did a lot of positive things for them last year. And look, I think the Eagles just crossed their T's and dotted their I's in case Carson Wentz got hurt again, because he's shown he gets hurt pretty much every year, and that's what Jalen Hurts was.
What does the trade today mean? Anything? Just a trade? Obviously Bridgewater goes to Denver for a 6. Does that mean Denver is no longer in the quarterback game? Are they more apt to move out of 9 now? How do you read that deal?
Well, when I was talking to a couple Broncos people, Troy Rank especially, he put out a tweet the other day, and he pretty much called the Bridgewater trade without calling it. He said the Broncos are probably going to settle for a veteran quarterback like Bridgewater, and they'll probably go best player available at 9 and let the chips fall where they may. Now, I don't think Denver's going to trade up now. I think they got a veteran quarterback to compete with Drew Lock. They didn't give up much for him, and now I think they take best player available, whoever that would be. And, that's where the Michael Parsons conversation comes in. Maybe they take a cornerback because they need a cornerback all of a sudden. But if one of those quarterbacks falls to 9, they're either taking calls for them, which would be great for the Eagles, or they take it themselves, which would be great for the Eagles. So I think Denver's a team right now. The Eagles got to trade up ahead. So I think the Eagles got to go to 8 at this point.
Yeah, that whole the fact they got a 6th rounder. Somebody texted in earlier and said the Eagles should have taken Bridgewater for a 6. I mean, you don't know that that's going to be out there. I mean, so you can't criticize them.
You got to remember how much Bridgewater's making too. So,
well, the deal was weird. Apparently, Carolina's paying $7 million of the deal of the $10 million guaranteed, and they agreed that he would be a free. It was a weird situation with that deal.
Is this a David Justice Moneyball tactic? Like the Yankees are basically paying half of David Justice's salary,
correct?
So he can put him in the playoffs. Is that what they're doing here? I guess that's the trick.
I said this is a weird situation that he agreed to some of these things. All right. Give me every year. It seems like there's a guy in the draft that gets picked in like the top 20-ish or so, and you're like, whoa, he wasn't on any mock drafts. Who's that guy?
Oh man, this is tough. Boy, you're putting me on the spot here, Mike. Let's see. How about Rondell Moore?
Wow.
Let's go with it. I think that he could go from the top 20. Or he could fall all the way to 40. But I do think he's a very talented wide receiver out of Purdue. I really like how teams can use him in the slot. He's got some afterburners on him. He just feels like one of those guys that you can plug and play right away and he's going to produce. Kind of like a Jarvis Landry type player. Only he's going to get drafted a lot higher than Jarvis Landry ever did. He's just going to be that guy. He's going to rack up the catches. He's going to rack up the yards. Probably not get a lot of touchdowns, but he's going to really help an offense.
All right. Outside of the 5 quarterbacks, who's the next one that you would take?
Kyle Trask? That might be it, honestly. I think Kyle Trask could be a mid-round pick, maybe 3rd or 4th round, but I could see a team after these 5 quarterbacks, they kind of, how can I put it in words? They panic. I don't think they'll panic in the 1st round, but I think some team will be like, you know what? Let's just take this guy. What do we got to lose? It's a 2nd round pick. We need a quarterback anyway. It was kind of like when Drew Lock got picked by the Broncos. Hey, look, he's clearly the best guy on our board. Let's just take him. So I think Kyle Trask will be it.
Yeah. All right. I'm interested. I saw a mock draft today. 7-round. The Pro Football Focus did their 7-round mock. They had 7 defensive players for Philadelphia. 7 out of 11. 7. And you know what? I actually don't mind that. Just say, look, this year we're going to subscribe to try to fix this damn defense. And, again, this goes back to, Jeff, that I think the front office believes that Peterson's staff didn't get enough out of Rieger and Arcega-Whiteside. And they want to see the new staff work with those guys before they make a decision on whether those guys can play or not.
Well, I think that's what it is. I'm not ready to write off J.J. Arcega-Whiteside after 2 years, even though that has happened in NFL history. Guys have literally been, especially receivers, they've been out of the league after 1 year. So the Eagles are being very patient with this guy. They wasted the number 62 overall pick. I'm sorry, number 59. I apologize. 62 was Paris Camp, I think, in that year. I'm trying to remember already. But Yeah, I mean, the Eagles invested a second-round pick in him. Jalen Reagor, I'm not ready to give up on at all. I think Jalen Reagor, just being a first-round pick, deserves 2 more years right off the bat. But, yeah, I think the Eagles have enough confidence in Nick Sirianni and his background with wide receivers that he can make all these guys better. Travis Fulgham, Arcega-Whiteside, Reagor, Greg Ward, all these guys. It's they will go receiver in this draft. It may just not be the first-round pick, but I'll tell you what, I don't think they can go wrong with Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, or Jalen Waddle at all. The Eagles have not had a true number one receiver since Theo. No disrespect to Deshaun Jackson. He was a different type of number one, but a true number one wide receiver.
I was called Deshaun Jackson, not a number one receiver, but a number one playmaker.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, he made the Pro Bowl in 2 different as a receiver and as a punt returner one year. So, yeah, he was just like that guy that you had to defend or else you were done.
Now, the mock draft, I actually like this Pro Football Focus mock draft. If they ended up with these 11 guys, I think I'd be pretty happy. What do you think of the kid Amari Rodgers from Clemson? He's a lot of guys like this guy, like a running back / receiver. They're all like these 5'10", but he reminds me a lot of the other receivers that they've had at Clemson.
Barrett Brooks and I were just talking about him today, and we're like, this guy's a stud. And he's going to be, the 9th or 10th wide receiver taken in this draft? What a draft for wide receivers. Yeah, the Eagles get them. Where did Pro Football Focus have them? Did they have them in the 2nd round or 3rd round?
4th.
4th round?
Yeah, 4th. They had the Eagles taking him in the 4th. They had the Eagles taking him in the 4th round. They had literally it went Kwity Paye at 12.
Okay.
They went Nick Bolton at 37.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Then they went, now these 2 guys' names I'm going to be butchering here, but the corner from Syracuse, Ifedu Melifonwu. How's that?
Yeah, that's Obi's brother.
Correct. And then the UCLA defensive end, Osa Oding Hizua.
I like him, actually. I kind of did a little bit of scouting report on him. He's a really good run stuffer, defensive end. So, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad pick for the Eagles in the 3rd round either, especially with that 2nd, 3rd round pick. I had him going in the 4th when I did, my one and only Eagles-only mock draft. But I'll tell you, if Amari Rodgers falls to the 4th, I think you trade up to get a guy like that. I just can't see him being in the 4th round because he's that good. But, again, I guess it just all depends on the draft board plays out. But it's crazy to think about. There's 10 or 11 legit receivers in this draft that are going to be good NFL players, and he's one of them.
Now, the quarterback they had him taken was in the 6th round, Felipe Franks.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the connection with Brian Johnson, Florida.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know he worked with him at some point there. I didn't even think he'd be a draft pick, but, again, this is a weird year.
Well, he's one of them guys, he was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school. Everybody feels they can get the talent out of that guy. Should be interesting. All right, Jeff's back tomorrow at Jeff Kerr CBS. Check out all his NFL coverage. Man, it's almost here. Tomorrow, it'll be here. We'll get Jeff's official pick. Got it?
I'll tell you who I'm going to go with now, if you really want me to.
No, I want you to wait till tomorrow. You know why? Because it might change.
It might change, but I'm pretty sold on it.
Right.
Devonta Smith interview dropping tomorrow on CBS.
Check that out. Devonta Smith interview drops tomorrow at Jeff Kerr CBS. Check it out. He'll be back tomorrow right here on the Sports Desk. All right, Jeff. Great job, man.
Thanks, Mike.
Always fun. Jeff Kerr, his coverage will continue here on the Sports Bash. Even after the draft, Jeff and I are going to be doing a lot of NFL stuff, a lot of NFC East stuff